Hi everyone. Today we are going to review how to multiply big numbers. So before I start, I'm going to be doing all of my work on a whiteboard, but I also sent home this, or I emailed it to you, um, this little sheet of paper that we used in class when we originally learned how to do multiplication. So I like this because it gives you a spot to write the equation up here. And then if you forget what the steps are or how to solve the problem, it actually kind of gives you a little help boxes along the way. So this top one right here would be if you were doing a 2-digit number times a 1-digit number. And then the bottom here is going to be a 3-digit number times a 1-digit number. I also have a different one for 2 digits times 2 digits, which I also sent out. But today we're going to focus on 2 by 1 and 3 by 1. So I'm going to be doing some problems both on this paper and on the whiteboard because some of you might not be able to print this out or you might not be able to write on it with a dry erase marker. So I'm going to do both. You can also always do it with a paper pencil, but my whiteboard's a little bit easier to erase. So I'm just going to be making up problems, and let's see if we can remember how to do this. So I'm going to start with a 2-digit times a 1-digit number just to kind of get us started. And let's say that we're going to say 26 times 5. That is our equation. So we learned two different ways to do multiplication. We learned partial products and we learned area model, or like the box method. We're going to do the box method with these because that's going to be the easiest way. And I think, if I remember correctly, that's how most of you like to do it anyways. And honestly, I think it is just a little bit easier to do it that way. So first is you draw a box. And you need to have, so the biggest number is always going to go on top. And we're going to divide it because we have 2 digits. So we need to write the value of each digit on these little blank spots right here. So even though that's 2, we actually have to write a 20 because it's in the tens place. So we're going to put a 20 here. And then this 6 is in the ones place, so it's just a 6. So now we have 26 on top times 5. Easiest way to do this is to kind of just do one box at a time. So I'm going to cover this one up and just do 20 times 5. When we're doing these numbers that have a 0, we learned how to find a basic fact first. There's a fact in here that when we think about our multiplication facts, we can pretty much know immediately. So I noticed that 5 times 2 is a multiplication fact that I know, and I know it's 10. So I'm going to write a 10, and then there's one extra 0, so we're just going to write a 0. So 20 times 5 is 100. And now I'm going to cover up this 20 because I'm going to do 6 times 5. So 5 times 6 is 30. So now that both boxes are filled in, I'm going to add these together. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make sure that my numbers are lined up correctly, because if I don't do that, then all the work that I did up here, I can mess it up, my answer down here. So make sure that your numbers are lined up perfectly, and we're going to add this 0, 3, 1. So my answer is 130. I'm going to do it over here on this little paper next, just to kind of give you an idea of what these little steps are going to show you. So same exact thing, it gives you a spot for the equation at the top. So let's say that our equation this time is going to be 73 times 4. When you use this particular setup, it's a little bit easier because it actually gives you the spaces to write everything so you can't mess it up. When you write it yourself, it's possible that you can mess it up, but the biggest hint I can give you is always write the biggest number going across the top. And we're going to write the value of the biggest number. So actually this says the value of the biggest factor goes across the top from biggest to smallest value, meaning we're going to write the 70 here and then the 3 here. So I'm going to go ahead and write that, 73. And then this says the value of the other smaller number goes here, so the other factor, 4. And I like to write a little time sign in the corner just because I can remember, that we're multiplying. So now it says multiply the top and side numbers and put the product in each box. So again, I like this one. Yours doesn't have it because I didn't want you guys to waste all of your color ink. So your boxes are white, but I like the colored ones because I can kind of see that, well, this is a separate product and this is a separate product. So I'm going to cover this one up and I'm going to say 70 times 4. Well, I know a basic fact is 4 times 7, and I know that 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to write 28. And I know that just one extra 0, I'm going to add that 0. So 70 times 4 has to be 280. And then same thing, I'm going to cover up that 70 now and just do 3 times 4, and that is 12. And then finally, add all the products. So I'm going to say 280 plus 12. 0 plus 2 is 2. 8 plus 1 is 9. And 2 plus nothing is 2. So my answer has to be 292. Oh, I have an answer box right here. 292. Perfect. There's not a ton of room to write the addition problem here, so just try to squeeze it in as best you can. And I'm going to now do a 3 by 1 because I actually think that most of your problems today are going to be 3 digits times 1 digit. And we're going to follow the exact same set of steps, except we're going to have one more extra step to multiply. So let's do 218 times 7. 218. So again, I'm going to write the value of all of these digits in these boxes, starting from the biggest value in the biggest box and the smallest value in the smallest box. You can kind of remember that even though your boxes are not colored, you can kind of see that this box is biggest. So the biggest value needs to go here. And then this one's medium. And then this one's the smallest. So the smallest value needs to go there. So the value of this 2 is 200. The value of this 1 in the tens place is 10. And then that 8 is just an 8. You can also think about it if you were to add little addition of plus signs in the middle. This is 218 in expanded form, and we just reviewed that, so that's another way you could double check yourself. 200 plus 10 plus 8 equals 218. And then the 7 goes over here. Write my time sign, and then I'm going to follow all those exact same steps and just do one extra one. So I'm going to multiply 200 times 7. A basic fact that I can see here is 2 times 7. I know that 2 times 7 is 14. And now, because this digit has 2 zeros, I'm actually going to write 2 zeros here. So 200 times 7 is 1,400. I can't do both at the same time and right? So let's do 10 times 7 is 70. And then 8 times 7 is 56. I'm also going to send, I also sent a multiplication chart for you guys just in case, because I don't want you to get confused on your math facts, and maybe that you couldn't remember that 8 times 7 was 56, and I want you to be able to have one more resource for you to use, because I want you to be able to do all the steps without having to, go an extra step and have to think about all of the facts. You should know them, but maybe you want to double check yourself. So now we're going to add them all together. So I've got 1,470, and then 56. So 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 6. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry that 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. And then the 1 plus nothing is 1. So my answer should be 1,526. So that is how you do both 3-digit and 2-digit multiplication. Tomorrow we will go back into like the window method of doing 2-digit by 2-digit, but I want to start out a little bit easier before we get into that. So biggest tips for you to do this is write the biggest number going across the top, and remember to write the value of each digit in the correct spot. And then always make sure that you line up your numbers correctly when you go to add them. You don't have to do this on this particular sheet of paper. You can do it on just regular paper and just draw your own little boxes, or you can use a whiteboard. You can do it however you want, or you can actually use it on the slides because the slides have this box for you. Totally up to you how you want to do it, but if you get stuck or if you need help, you can pull this up just to look at the steps because it does give you really good hints on how to solve the problems.